What I'm going to show you all today is how you do steps 12 to 22 on your company budget. So if it's not already open, all of you should have this document open. You can get to it in your recents on Google Drive, or you can click on it on Google Classroom. And we are going to start with number 12. Yesterday we came up with some category items and the amount we're going to sell per year. Today we're going to deal mostly with price. So here's the first step. It says in column D, type the average sales price for each category item. That means we are going to type a price right in here for each of your category items, which are right here. You will probably have to estimate here. So here are some examples, people. Take a look. I have a counseling center, and I'm going to say that on average, a counseling session is going to cost $50. I'm estimating. I'm going to say that on average, a group counseling session would cost $100. I'm not thinking about this for too long. I'm just thinking of a price and typing it in. My after-school program, I'm going to charge by the student, so I figure I'm going to have 30 students per day. I'm going to say on average, it's going to cost $25 per student. I think that an average book or counseling resource is going to cost about $15. If you think of books or DVDs, $15 is probably a good average price. And then finally for donations, this is a little harder because you get donations of all amounts. If we're getting 5 per day, I'm going to say $25 looks about right. Take a few moments to type in an average price and don't rack your brain too much. Google it if you need to find an average price. Very good. Hopefully you've typed in the average sales price for each of your category items. So that was number 12. Now we're going to move to number 13, where we type in this formula to sell E4. So E4 is right here. So since it's a formula, you have to have an equals sign, and we're going to multiply the total number of individual counseling sessions. So shift and 8, again, is your multiply sign. And we're going to multiply that by the average sales price. So the number in total sales is going to be the amount of money coming into my company for individual counseling. If I press enter, that's the amount of money I have there. And once I have that number calculated, all I'm going to need to do to get the rest of my total sales for my category items is to drag it down, and it will automatically multiply the total number by the average sales price for each category item. So you should have the total sales for each of your category, and you should have pulled down with the fill handle. So we've now completed numbers 13 and 14. For number 15, it says here in column F, type the average cost for each category item. And there's a difference between the average price and the average cost. This is asking you how much it would cost you as the business owner to provide this product or service. If you're selling products, how much would it cost you to buy that from the supplier? If you're selling footballs, how much would it cost you to buy that Rawlings football or that pair of Nike cleats? Typically, you can mark up your product about 20%. That's about what I'm going to do here, except mine are services rather than products. So pay attention to this number right here as you come up with your average cost. So my average sales price for individual counseling was $50. I think it's going to cost me about $40 to provide individual counseling because I have to pay for a counselor to be there and I have to pay for my building. But I'm just going to say it cost me about $40 to provide that service. You see how I marked that down about 20%. So I took 1/5 of 50 is 10, and I subtracted 10 from that number to get my average cost per unit of 40. I would do a similar thing with group counseling. Because there's more people, I'm going to pay my counselors more, or I might have 2 counselors there. So it would cost me, I'm going to say, about $70 to provide group counseling. That markup is a little bit more, by the way. My after-school program per student is probably going to cost me about $20 per student when all is said and done. Remember, these numbers, the average cost should be slightly less than the average sales price. Otherwise, you're losing money. And at least part of your business model is to make money. I think for books and resources, if the average sales price is about $15, I'm not going to make a ton of money on those, I don't think. So my average cost to buy those books before I sell them, to buy them from the supplier, is going to be about $12. And then the nice thing about donations is, how much do donations cost me? About 0. Now you probably will send out mailings. You probably would send people to different places to make that happen, but typically it would be 0. So spend a little bit of time, if you still need to, and make sure you've got an average price for, or an average cost, for each of your category items. Once all those average cost per unit prices are entered in, we are going to move down to number 16. We're going to do number 16 and 17 right now. So in cell G4, this right here is the formula that we are going to enter. C4 times F4. Let's go to our spreadsheet a minute. So in cell G4, we're going to multiply the total number times the average cost. So in a year, how much does it cost me to provide each of these services? So I'm going to type in equals. Then I'm going to click on C4. That's the total number of individual counseling sessions I would offer in a year. And I would multiply that by the average cost. So this is how much, again, individual counseling is going to cost me in a given year. And then I'm going to drag that down. So, there we go with numbers. I think that was 16 and 17. I think most of you stuck with me there. Now, we're going to jump to number 18. And we are going to find our profit. So, here's the moment of truth, people. E4 minus G4. So, we're going to take our total sales minus our total cost. This is how much money, when all's said and done, I'm going to profit from individual counseling in each of my categories. So I'm going to take that profit and I'm going to drag it. And this represents how much money I'm going to make for each of those individual categories. All right, lastly, in terms of formulas and numbers, then you're going to make your spreadsheet look pretty, is when we get to number 20, in cell I4, we're going to type in this formula, H4 divided by E4, because we're going to show the percent of profit. So what is the most profitable per unit? So again, that formula is H4 divided by E4. So equals H4, the total profit, divided by should be right next to your shift key, bottom right, divided by E4. And you should not get a decimal point in this column because we've formatted to %, I believe. So, individual counseling shows a 20% profit. And if I scroll down, now if my donations cost me nothing, what % profit should I have on donations? 100%. So let's see. And it does. It shows 100% profit. Lastly, we are going to format our sales worksheet with borders and fill colors. So, what I would suggest, you can take some creative liberty here, but if you highlight, so I'm just clicking and dragging, and I highlight this part of my spreadsheet, so the part that has numbers entered in, I could color everything here, and I would choose kind of a pastelish color where you can still see all of the items pretty well. And you know what? I think I could do a little bit better here. I think I could color these. Oops, I don't want to do that. I just want to highlight. There we go. I think I can change the color of my category items themselves to something slightly different. Please don't cringe too much, those of you who have a better eye than me for design and that sort of thing. I'm going to put a green color in there. Now on my screen, it's much more visible than up here. And then I'm going to color these separately as well. So I make it really easy to read, that my numbers are going to be one color, and then all of my categories will be another. Something, yeah, like I said, kind of pastel. That green and that blue might clash a little bit, but only a few of you would care about something like that. Kudos to you if you do. And I'm just going to get really specific with all my other colors too. So spend a little bit of time coloring your spreadsheet.